Welcome to the Financial Coaches Podcast, where we talk about how to build your practice from startup to scale up while being the kind of coach your clients crave. Finally, a podcast for financial coaches. Here are your hosts, Maria Casillas and Cody Sizemore.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Financial Coaches Podcast. I'm Maria Casillas, joined here by my incredible co-host, Cody Sizemore. Cody, we've been doing this for a long time. We just celebrated our 250th episode. Thank you to each of you who joined us for that last week, and welcome back to 251 today. I say we've been doing this for a long time because have you ever noticed that, people come and go? We probably have listeners who are every weekers, which we absolutely adore here. But we've probably had people who tuned in a couple of years ago and then sort of tuned out a little bit, and maybe they've come back. And I know I do that with some podcasts as well. And so I just want to do a little shout out to those of you who have recognized, you know what, I actually do need something that they're offering. And I wanted to come back and kind of get that. And I'm doing that today because we're going to talk a little bit about somebody who was in Cody's pipeline for years, not days, weeks, or months, you guys, but years, did not engage in any, at least in any exchange of money for services for those years, and then had a change of heart. And so I can tell you that that happened not without some bit of creativity from Cody. And so he's going to share with us today what he did, what that looks like, and maybe a way that you can sort of re-engage somebody who maybe used to be one of your clients, wanted to be one of your clients, or has just been waiting in the wings for all of these years and is ready to take that leap. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome you in, Cody. Thanks for joining us today and preemptively sharing all of the wisdom that you're going to share today.
Yeah, totally. So, I guess you could say that today's episode is going to be kind of like a case study in certain ways.
Okay.
But this happened to me over the last month or so, and I was like, here's a situation that's a little bit more unique that I don't think that we've really talked about on this show. It's possible that we have, but we've done 251 episodes, so I don't know. I don't even remember what I talked about last week sometimes.
Me neither.
Um, so we'll just kind of get into it. We'll see where it kind of goes. But for those of you who do listen to this show every week, you're an every weeker. You probably are aware that a big part of what I do is like Facebook and Instagram meta advertising. And with that, I have people sign up for like a free, like 45-minute webinar kind of thing. And then that kind of funnels to them having the opportunity to book a call or whatever it might be. But anytime that someone signs up for that webinar, they are then added to my mailing list in my CRM. And then, I can keep in touch with them and continue to try to provide value in different ways through there. And that's what happened with this couple. So the wife signed up for the webinar through the ads. I think this was probably like maybe 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And for those of you who also listen, also know that part of what I do after someone signs up for that webinar is I then text them a series of text messages to try and get them to respond, to start a conversation, and then ultimately invite them onto a phone call. So I did that with her a while back. She never responded. Then she signed up again for the webinar. Same thing. So she probably just got like retargeted in the ads. Probably like 6 months later, I reached back out, tried to re-engage the conversation. Crickets. I also do some live webinars as well from time to time. Probably like once every like 3 to 6 months, I'll do a live webinar. And this same person signed up for not one, not two, but 3 of those live webinars.
Wow.
3 separate times. Did not attend any of them live.
At that point, I'm surprised you didn't think this is just a bot.
Yeah. Well, I knew that it wasn't. I don't know why I knew that it wasn't. I just had a feeling, I guess.
Okay.
Uh, but every time she signed up for that live webinar, I would send out a couple, reminder texts like, hey, this is tomorrow. Hey, this is today. Hey, we're starting now, kind of thing. Never responded to any of them.
Hmm.
And then randomly, out of the blue, she signed up for that webinar again, the one through the ads. And this time I sent her a voice message and I was like, hey, I have noticed you over these last several years. Clearly, you're still looking for some answers. Clearly, you're determined to get this figured out, but something isn't clicking. You're still looking for something to work, right? So I'm happy to be here for you just to like talk through things but I just want to know if that's something that you like actually want. And that got her to respond. And we started texting a little bit back and forth. She apologized for never responding before. I was like, don't sweat it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? This would probably be a lot easier if we just talk through it over the phone. Is that something that you want to do? And she said, yeah. So ended up hopping on a phone call consultation with her and her husband. Um, and man, I really love them. They're awesome people, like really, really easy to talk to. Um, and their situation is like super ideal for me. Like they are like my ideal client kind of thing. And we had an awesome consultation. I felt like the vibes were great. The energy was great. Everything that we were talking about was great. Everything was great. And then we went into the investment conversation. And I asked them like, hey, is this something that you guys are interested in? They said yes. So then I laid it all out for them. And they saw the value, um, but they just wanted to talk through it, as a couple. And, I kind of gave them a heads up. I was like, I'm happy to do that for you guys. Obviously, like what's most important to me is our relationship, not this transaction. So if you guys need that kind of respect to give you, a day to think about this and to talk through it, I'd be happy to do that. But I do want to give you a heads up that oftentimes when I do that, fear sets in and, people ultimately end up not moving forward, which I have found has been a disservice to people. So I would encourage you to make a decision today. But if you do indeed feel very strongly that you need that extra time, I will give that to you. They did feel strongly that they needed that extra time. So then I hopped on a call with the wife the next day. A very short call. Basically, it was just like, hey, what'd you guys discuss? How are we feeling? And do we want to move forward? And if so, how do we want to do that? How do we want to do that? She basically said that they got a lot of value from the consultation, um, but they want to try things on their own to see how things go. They're like, we feel like we have a decent idea of what some of the challenges were for us before, and we want to prove it to ourselves. And I was like, in short words, I was like, bummer, right? Okay,
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
It's not like I had been trying to help you for 2.5 years,
And
but
it's not
sounds
like you
good.
haven't heard that objection before because
Right,
it seems like that's 98% of people's responses.
right, right. I was like, okay, sounds good. And before I let her go, because I had such a good experience with them, because I connected with them, and because I saw so much potential in them, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make a last ditch effort here. And what I had offered them was my like base level, entry level program, I guess you could say. So I have like I have like three different tiers of programs. One's like a base level, one's a mid tier, and one's a high tier, right? Um,
Yeah.
and I had offered them the base level one. And uh, what I had done on that call is I said, hey, just something to think about. Because I, had a great experience with you and I really believe in you guys, I would be willing to do this. And I've only done this with two different clients before, which is true. I've only done it with two. And they've seen a lot of success with this if they took advantage of it. And that would be this. I would essentially do a hybrid model of the program that I had offered you and my highest level program for you. So instead of meeting like twice a week for the first, or I'm sorry, twice a month for the first 2 months, we would actually really stack the first month and just meet weekly. So have 4 meetings in that first week. And that's really going to help build the momentum and the foundation of everything that you need moving forward from there. Right. So we'll be covering the relationship with money, the audit, the money map, and the game plan in that first month. And then after that, we can then kind of transition into the base level program that we kind of talked about. Those extra sessions would be at no additional cost. And and on top of that, after the first 4 meetings or the first 30 days, uh, there would be a termination guarantee as well, which basically just means, hey, if after those first 4 meetings, you guys don't see the value, you guys don't see how continuing would be really valuable to you, then we can just call it quits. We won't need to go through the whole program in order to get the money back guarantee that I
Mm-hmm.
offer in general. We can do it after the first 4 meetings, and I can send you back any sort of investment that you send. And I was like, so you talk to your husband about that, and I'll leave the ball in your court, and you let me know. And she was like, well, I really appreciate that. That's definitely something that we'll think about, and I'll talk to my husband tonight, and we'll reach out if it's something that we want to take advantage of. So I just left it at that. I did not hear back. And I was kind of bummed. I was like, dang, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
There's some sort of disconnect here, and it has to be pretty strong for them to walk away from something like that. I'm basically giving them like every opportunity to succeed and taking any sort of opportunity that they'll fail like away from them kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just kind of like washed my hands of it and I just moved on. And then about a month later, I get a text from the wife and she says, hey, Cody, been doing some thinking. Is that offer that you had talked about before, is that still available? And I was like, sure, we can do that. Do you want to hop on a phone call and just kind of like talk through things and, talk about next steps and all that kinds of stuff? And she said, yeah. So we ended up doing that, hopped on the phone call, talked through everything. We're on the same page. And then when I asked them, like, you know, how do you want to make this initial investment? Do you want to do this structure or this structure or this structure? They kind of almost got cold feet again. It was weird. Like everything was great. And then once we started talking about the investment, they got cold feet again. And I was like, guys, like, like this past month has shown you what you need to see. But then even beyond that, you've been trying to figure this out, at least with just me, for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. At least
Like,
you don't know
what's,
how many other webinars she's gone on to.
yeah, like, what
Yep.
is the holdup here? So we ended up talking through that too. They ended up moving forward and we ended up having our first meeting yesterday. And it went amazing. It went amazing. So this is just like a long-winded story of just kind of saying like sometimes it makes sense to get creative. Sometimes it makes sense to restructure your own programs a little bit if you really do believe in someone or if you really have a strong connection with someone and you know that like me personally, I know that they're going to keep going because I believe in myself. I believe in the process. I believe in them. I would be shocked if they decided to not move forward. But even if they chose not to, I guess that's okay. It would be a bummer, but
Mm-hmm.
at least in my heart of hearts, I'll know that like, hey, I did everything on my end to really try and help them. They're choosing to walk away from this. That's not on me, you know?
Yep.
Um, so sometimes it just makes sense to do that. Not only to get a new client, but to do what we're supposed to do, and that is to serve our clients.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the long-winded story.
Oh, I love it. And just a couple of questions. One, regarding the investment, What's interesting to me there is that she knew the investment
Yeah,
long before she
yeah,
decided to reach back out to you and say, "Is this offer still available?" So there was, I mean, it wasn't like she was not aware, right? I mean, you had said not just I'll do the, high tier hybrid with mid tier. You had given them actual numbers. They knew the
correct.
investment. Okay,
Yep.
so I find it very intriguing then that even after she reaches back out and you're ready to go for it, it's almost like that she was just trigger shy, maybe. I don't know.
Mhm.
What did you kind of glossed over it, which is totally fine, but I am a little bit curious as to what do you think was going on in her mind after you kind of worked through this with them that every time they'd get to just paying for the thing that they already knew was there was a struggle for them?
It was 2 things, in my opinion, which we talked through in our first meeting. It's a scarcity mindset and an idea that, like, she's just afraid to mess up,
Mm,
you know? Because if she messes up, then she makes it worse, kinda thing. You know what I
okay.
mean? Um, so a big part of what I had to kinda go through was, like, showing them how much they're actually losing every month by not doing it,
Mhm.
but then also showing them, like, "Hey, you are protected in so many ways. You have this 30-day termination guarantee, and even if you chose to keep going, and then at the end of the 6 months, you then decided that it wasn't worth it, you have that guarantee as well, right? Like, you're, like,
Right.
double protected kinda thing."
Mhm.
And then she was like, "Well, do you have, like a written agreement with this?" I'm like, "Yep." So then I showed her the agreement. We talked through it. She's like, "Well, what does this mean?" And I was like, "This is what this means." And she's like, "Okay, cool." So I think that she just needed, like she needed confidence in everything. She needed confidence in herself. She needed confidence in the process. She needed confidence in the agreement,
Mhm.
everything, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, and I know you always do such a great job. I'm gonna throw this in there because 'cause you'll be meeting with her again. I think she also needs permission to mess up.
That's actually what I told her yesterday.
I knew you
I
see? I knew you did
Yep,
such a good job.
yep.
Mhm.
I gave her some ideas to help her with some relationship with money stuff. And that was one of the things that I kind of emphasized is that, like, I was like, with this exercise, it gives you permission to mess up.
Mhm.
It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she needs to almost, be thrown into a mess up. Like, you almost need to orchestrate one for her so that
Hmm.
she can see that she will come out the other side and that one little mess up does not completely thwart the entire plan, right?
Hmm.
She needs that proof, that evidence for herself. So I think that that's really important. So yeah, I appreciate that. And admittedly, I forgot the second follow-up question, so I'm not even going to bother trying to retrain it or
No
see.
worries. It's okay to mess
Retrieve
up.
it. It's one of those days, I guess.
Hmm.
So, no, I really do appreciate you sharing all of this back information because I think that so many times we just sometimes we give up on ourselves as coaches and sometimes we give up on our clients, and you did neither of those two things. I think that you did a great job respecting them when they said no, like this is not the right thing for us, and yet when they asked the questions, you were right there and you were able to kind of give them some of that confidence in you in your program and in their abilities to actually do this thing. So I just like to give you a high five as
Well,
if I could, but the
I
proverbial
appreciate
high five.
that.
There you go. We raised our hands last week. We might as well give high fives this week.
Mhm.
So, all right. Well, I'm good with that. Is this a spot that you want to close up, or is there
Yeah.
something else you'd like to share with our audience about
No.
this particular scenario?
Yeah, I think we're good to wrap up. I would just say that, you know, don't don't be so set in your ways sometimes. There are certain circumstances where I do think that it is good to set that clear boundary with
Mhm.
people, right? But there are other circumstances like this to where you really see the potential in them. You really have a good connection with them. They check all the boxes, right? And in those scenarios, maybe it does make sense to get a little bit creative, and, kind of meet them where they're at, and just allow them to give themselves a shot.
Definitely.
and then move forward. So if you find yourself in that situation, just remember this conversation and make it happen. So cool.
Sounds good. Well, thank you to each of you out there listening to us this week. We look forward to seeing you or being with you, sharing with you again next week for another episode of the Financial Coaches Podcast. See you then.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Coaches Podcast, brought to you by New Money Habits and Sizemore Financial Coaching. Submit your questions to our hosts by emailing podcast@newmoneyhabits.com. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of future episodes and join our growing group of like-minded coaches on Facebook. And until next time, happy coaching.